You know, the beauty of technology is that I can now look at myself to see if I'm focused or not. I mean, how good is that? I mean, I just absolutely love technology now. Ah yes, it's time for another album ranking, and today we're ranking the legendary heavy metal band Diamond Head. Now I love Diamond Head. I don't think they have made a single bad album. Where they have produced some weaker albums in the discography, they're still pretty good overall. Diamond Head has released 7 studio albums since forming in earliest 1976. They released a debut album, Lightning to the Nations, in 1980 after putting out a few demos, the earliest of which dates back to 1977. Diamond Head primarily focuses on traditional heavy metal and was part of the flourishing new wave of British heavy metal movement alongside bands like Iron fucking Maiden and Judas Priest. Even Steve Harris said that Diamond Head would be the new Led Zeppelin. But the band's decision to change the sound throughout the years didn't align with Harris's statement in the end. There have been 3 changes in lead vocalists for Diamond Head, but to me, they have remained consistent in their vocal deliveries and their overall sound over the past 40 years. So let's get on with this ranking. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Sean Harris left the band in the early 2000s and Nick Tart came in on vocals, but Diamond Head just wasn't the same. With Brian Tatler as the only main original member, they set out to begin the Tart era. Although their first album with Nick Tart was alright, their second album with him wasn't great, but it still wasn't bad. As I said, there's no bad Diamond Head albums, there are mediocre albums, and What's in Your Head was a pretty mediocre album. They incorporated alternative hard rock into this album, but the songwriting was weak, with some groovy riffs and very forgettable songs. You know what? This album can get in the bin because I'm sick of being fucking nice. This album is trash. Don't touch it and don't listen to it in Diamond Head standards. There are redeeming factors such as This Planet of Me, which features a nice hard rock chorus, but it's not great and it certainly doesn't sound like Diamond Head. The best decision this band ever made was to part ways with Nick Tart because he just didn't fit with Diamond Head in the end and fans didn't really like him. We got a new vocalist on the last 2 albums which were miles better than anything off the Nick Tart era. Gone were the furious heavy metal guitars, gone were the interesting songs, and gone was the progressive nature. It was just generic hard alternative rock. What's in Your Head can get in the bin because when I think of Diamond Head, I don't think of this. I might put it on now and again, but even the album before it was better than this one. The songwriting just lacks on this one. This album, What's in Your Head, can get in the trash. Diamond Head unfortunately fell off the early 2000s, like I said before. That's not to say this era was bad, but it's just mediocre. The band found vocalist Nick Tart after Sean Harris left, and in 2005 they released All Will Be Revealed. There isn't much I can say about this album. It's long and tedious with very basic songwriting and I don't really want to go back to it. Nick's vocals are good, don't get me wrong, but the songs just don't grab me, and that's the truth. There are some decent tracks like Give It To Me, Fallen Angel, and that riff in Dead or Living, along with a strong solo. His vocals are really good on those songs. However, these are the only ones I fucking remember. While listening, it's clear they were experimenting by adding some new metal elements with the guitars and vocals, as well as alternative metal influence in tracks like Lost at Sea and Broken Pieces. The album is fine, but not my favorite. I still enjoy it though. This is 100 times better than dismal What's in Your Head. Anyway, moving on. I don't want to talk about this era anymore. What happened to Nick Tart in the end? He quit because he felt Diamond Head wasn't moving forward. Brian Tatler didn't want to make another album at that time, so Nick decided to leave the band. From then on, they discovered a new vocalist who revived Diamond Head from the ashes. Nick Tart was still a great addition to Diamond Head. He was with them for over a decade. Their sophomore album, Borrowed Time, dials down their heaviness from Lightning to the Nations, leading more towards a hard rock sound than a heavy metal one. There are 5 new tracks on this release, along with 2 re-recorded tracks, Lightning to the Nations and the riff-heavy Am I Evil? Dun, 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 dun. This is a very good song, and I love how relaxing Borrowed Time is. Call me, baby, call me. It's probably my favorite song off the album. That chorus is so sing-alongable. Sean Harris' vocals are great as always, but something holds me back from returning to this album. Well, it flows very well. Most of the new songs are more hard rock than heavy metal and have a mid-paced tempo compared to their debut album. The guitar work is good, and the drumming has a more melancholic feel, especially in Don't You Ever Leave Me, where we get an emotionally charged solo from Brian Tatler. Diamond Head changed their sound significantly on this album. I still really enjoy it, but I prefer listening to some fast-paced heavy metal, which Borrowed Time doesn't quite deliver. You still get great musicianship here with fantastic solos, and they are more progressive on this album, a trend that would continue throughout Canterbury, their next release. Speaking of Canterbury, this is the next album released in 1983. A lot of people don't really like this album, but I really enjoy it. It feels like an extended version of Borrowed Time, except I think the songwriting is better. The songs are slow and melancholic, but their climaxes are great. This album has a more progressive rock sound, especially noticeable in the solo of Knight of Swords. Sean Harris' vocals are fantastic on this album. I love how he drags out his words, creating a dramatic effect. Catchy and melodic songs like Making Music, Out of Phase, the slow pace To the Devil Is Due, Ishmael, which will get stuck in your fucking head, that song. And Canterbury to close off the album stand out as well. While this album may have alienated some fans at the time, it really grows on you with repeated listens. Many of the songs are slow, just basic prog rock tracks, but I really enjoy the flow of the album. The keyboards add a great layer of atmosphere, which I appreciate. I don't think this is a bad album as many others do. I think it's a great album. They experimented significantly on the album and changed the sound, and production is very good. Tatler's guitar work is once again outstanding. I saw some pretty negative reviews of the album Death in Progress, released in 1993. This was a 10-year hiatus as well, and honestly I don't really understand why, especially on Metal Archives where the average score is 35%. I think this album is a banger. Harris's vocals are great, as fucking always, and the guitar work by Tatler is amazing. There are some melodic, catchy songs, and it's heavier than Canterbury. In my opinion, this is a return to form for Diamond Head, featuring unstoppable tracks like their riff-heavy Starcrossed, which includes a great guest appearance by none other than Black Sabbath's Tony Iommi, track and featuring Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. It's a really fun song, and Calling Your Name has that tasty solo. Paradise is probably my favorite off the album. The album is more progressive than the earlier work in my opinion, but there are killer songs on it. This would be their last album before a massive hiatus again, but it was a great way to end a run. To be honest, Diamond Head really hasn't made a bad album. They produced some mediocre ones like the ones I've mentioned before, but not bad. I think Death in Progress is a very good to great album that just grows on you like a warm blanket every time you listen to it. This would be the last album featuring Sean Harris before he decided to part ways with the band. There was inner conflict within the band as Harris wanted to change Diamond Head's name in the early 2000s, which didn't go over well with the other members. The Coffin Train is a brilliant album from start to finish, released in 2019. Rasmus Bomb Anderson's vocals are fantastic. He sounds very similar to Sean Harris, and he has a lot of grunt in his voice. The guitar riffs by Tatler are dazzling, and the production brings Diamond Head into modern fucking times. Standout songs include Belly of the Beast, what a banger that is, which is such a great track, and The Coffin Train featuring Tatler's excellent solos. The Sleeper, which has a more doom metal aesthetic, is fantastic. The Phoenix includes a cool instrumental section, and Anderson's vocals is brilliant on this track. Until We Burn is one of the best closers off a Diamond Head album in my opinion. It sounds so fucking epic. Yes, there are some slow, melancholic sections on this, but Anderson really revitalizes the band. Diamond Head is back from the dead. Well, I think the album before this one is slightly better. This release is really good as well. The songwriting is excellent. The band sounds tight and energetic, and it's a great album. In fact, I would say this is probably the heaviest album in terms of production. After a 9-year break, Diamond Head came back in 2016 and released their self-titled album, Diamond Head. This album also introduced a new vocalist, Rasmus Baum Andersen. Diamond Head experienced a resurgence, rising back from the dead, and this album is absolutely fantastic. They managed to capture the old essence of Diamond Head's sound while also sounding new, modern, and fucking fresh. Tatler's and Andy Amberley's guitar riffs are fantastic, featuring soaring fucking solos, melodic hooks, and orchestration controlled by Anderson that makes things a lot more atmospheric and epic. Anderson's vocals are terrific. He's the best vocalist since Sean Harris in my opinion. He's much more diverse than Nick Tart, even though I thought Nick Tart was a pretty good vocalist. Anderson manages to harness so much grunt and energy in his voice, conveying a tremendous effort throughout the album. Tracks like Bones, with its infectious riff, and Shout at the Devil, which sounds like something out of Lightning to the Nations, are standout moments. The orchestration and melodic hooks in All the Reasons You Live, and a sucking love type riff in Speed, along with the beautiful melancholic songs Diamonds and Silence to end the album, makes this my second favorite album by them. It throws me back to the golden era of Diamond Head in the 80s and reminds me a lot of their debut album with slightly better production. This album is terrific. It's one of my favorites. Lightning to the Nations, released in 1980, is my favorite Diamond Head album. It's the first Diamond Head album I heard, and instantly I fell in love. Brian Tatler's guitar work is honestly outstanding on this. They were ahead of the time, and the melodies and the heaviness of some of these songs, including Am I Evil, which I think Metallica covered that song as well, which features probably the best metal riff of all time. I'm saying it's probably the best metal riff of all time. Sean Harris's vocals are exceptional on this album. He truly is the star here. I love the riffs throughout the album. They are so good. The riffs, it's just a riff-tastic album. Songs like The Prince, The Groove in Sucking Love, and It's Electric with that mouth-watering guitar solos are highlights. Helpless rounds off the album perfectly. I got the special edition with the signatures on the cover, or just printed on, but includes the band members' signatures. This edition also has more songs than the original. If you can see, there's the signatures there. As well as Shoot Out the Lights, Diamond Lights, and We Won't Be Back. We Won't Be Back is quite repetitive, and it's easy to see why that song wasn't included on the album. This is also known as the White Album. Lightning to the Nations is a fantastic album showcasing amazing guitar solos, great drumming, and exceptional vocals. It's my favorite album by them by far. Additionally, in 2020, during COVID, they released a remake of Lightning to the Nations with a more refined modern sound, with Anderson's vocals on it, not Sean Harris's. It's pretty good and very heavy. I mean, it's very fucking heavy. But it shows that Diamond Head was way ahead of the time, especially with the new version of Am I Evil, which still sounds amazing. The reason why I'm not including Lightning to the Nations 2020 version in this ranking is that I don't consider it a proper album. It consists mainly of remakes of classic songs, mainly from Lightning to the Nations. But Lightning to the Nations is my favorite Diamond Head album. So yeah, that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know in the comments below your favorite Diamond Head album. Also, rank Diamond Head as well. It's been fun, and I'll see you in the next one.